You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
We got a bunch of great questions here today. Got some lighter stuff, including a freak news story where a guy left a $3,000 tip and then tried to contest it with his credit card. So this restaurant's having to sue the guy. I want to know what you think about that one. We got a guy who bought a car. He's kind of getting hosed on the warranty they sold him. But we got to start with the heavy topic. We sent you the questions yesterday. Kristen checked in with a story, a terrible story, and needs some answers. She's at work. She stepped away, so we have her on the line if you got questions for her. Hey, I hear another client.
That's right.
Are you chasing ambulances right now? That is
exhausted.
So stereotypical.
So exhausted.
That's funny. It's like Dave,
I've got to get off the phone. It's getting away.
Dave has to go now. He's got a hot one. He's got a hot lead.
I got a live one here.
That's funny. All right. I'll just go through the story here real quick. My ex-boyfriend murdered 2 years ago. The killer has many continuances as he could. So he's been pushing this thing for 2 years. Had until September 6th of this year to either accept a plea of aggravated manslaughter or go to trial. He chose to go to trial. He's on his fourth lawyer and attempts to extend the start of the trial. Oh, so he keeps on burning lawyers. It's like, Judge, I need a lawyer. We need to file an extension. Is that it? Kind of?
It sounds, well, based on what she's saying, that's what it sounds like. I mean, and you don't know why they're on their fourth lawyer. I can get into why I had 4 au pairs.
So she wants the mom to request a change in venue. Doesn't think she has. It's from a small town south of the Springs, one of those towns where everyone knows everyone, so it would be in her best interest to ask for a venue change when the trial happens. The DA isn't fighting very hard to get the trial going, so she just has questions. Want to bring her on here?
Let's do it.
All right. I'll make sure we can hear each other. Kristen, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm okay. How are you?
Very good. Sorry about this ordeal. It's amazing to see how long the wheels of justice take to turn sometimes, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's pretty typical for, like, a murder trial to really be extensive, but, I mean, I don't know. I thought this one was going to go a little quicker because it's a smaller town, but it didn't.
So is that common, Dave, for a murder trial to go 2+ years?
It can be. I mean, there is a general interest in trying to provide the defendant a right to a trial very quickly. They've a right to a speedy trial in most cases. And just because the defendant has the right to a trial, within 6 months doesn't mean that that's going to happen. And oftentimes it gets delayed. There are evidentiary issues that will come up. Mm-hmm. There will be hearings to, first of all, there's going to be a preliminary hearing to weigh some of the evidence, to push the case forward to a trial, investigation. There, depending on what kind of affirmative defense that the defense may be positioning themselves for, there may be evaluations that need to take place. So it can, for any number of different reasons, that you can see a delay in a criminal trial, especially when you're talking about homicide. It's a very high-stakes situation, both for the victims, the relatives of the victims. The victims in this situation are the survivors. So his mother, and then Kristen, you as well. Were you guys dating at the time? You say he's your ex-boyfriend. Is he ex? Were you guys broken up at the time?
No, but we've been friends since we were little kids. So we've been dating on and off for a very long time. So we stayed in contact. We were still really good friends. So this was a really hard thing to deal with.
Of course.
Well, her first question was, how many more times can he get rid of his lawyer and then get a new lawyer and extend this thing? You can't do this forever, right? You can't say, I got a new lawyer. You need to give me 6 more months.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a point where the judge is going to lose patience with this. I mean, there is a standard that has applied in Colorado to determine whether or not a change in counsel or lawyer is going to be allowed. And so they weigh a bunch of different factors, whether or not this is going to delay, whether the delay is going to cause prejudice or just mere inconvenience. Mere inconvenience may not get in the way of changing counsel, but prejudice would. How long the case has been in the system, how old, when the crime occurred, what kind of impact it has on the victim, whether it seems like it was designed as just a posturing tactic. So the court's going to look into all of these things. And the fact that you're getting a new judge won't and shouldn't change that, because even though it's a new judge and the case has been in the system, the judge might look at it with fresh eyes, but is going to look at everything that's happened in the past, the prior 4 attorneys, and say, look, I'm not going to grant another change in counsel here. Well, one thing the judges are considerate of is the fact that they want to make sure that whatever trial takes place, they button things up so that they minimize any issues that might be brought up on appeal that could further delay the process.
But is there any way, there's no loophole where you can drag your heels long enough where the statute of limitations runs out, is there?
No, not in a case of homicide. No, because there is no statute of limitations for homicide. So they can't, I mean, he and that's the thing, I think is...
Hey, Kristen, is he out on bail right now?
Yes, he is.
Wow, so he's been out for 2 years. That's tough for the mom.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that's been really difficult, because all of this happened at a hotel that the guy owned, and so initially he tried to use the Make My Day law, which it did not apply to this in this situation. So he put up his hotel as collateral and got out. And so he's been out
free
living
for 2
his
years.
life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Right.
Now, what about moving the venue or moving the trial to a different town? It's a small town, Colorado, David. Is it advantage to bring it maybe to the Springs or a bigger city?
Well, I don't know the timing of the change in venue, when it might be considered, if it's already too late to really consider a change in venue. I don't know that how that applies here. That will delay it even more. Because when you do that, you're obviously getting another judge, and there are considerations of the jury pool as well. I mean, oftentimes when you see a change in venue, it's because of the jury pool, the potential jury pool that you'll get.
It was tainted or something, right?
It was tainted somehow. There just aren't going to be enough potential jurors who would be independent enough to come in with an open mind. And it's just impossible for me to know those facts. And that's what a judge would determine, because the judge is going to be the one to determine whether or not a change in venue is going to be necessary. And so...
Kristen, is the town small enough where everyone in the town pretty much knows the story about how this all went down? Yeah.
Absolutely. And so would the judge be the one to look at it and say, okay, you guys need to do a change of venue? Or would it be his mom talking to the DA asking them to request it?
No, that's the thing. One of the parties, either the district attorney's office or the defense, would be the one to actually file a motion with the court to change the venue. I don't think the judge would just unilaterally do that. The other thing that they'll do is they'll look at how can they expand the jury pool. Is there a method? Are they going to be allowed to pull jurors from from the wider community? I just don't know all of these details. But I mean, those are the things that you have to consider. And the other thing too, and I don't know, you haven't touched on this, but there's usually a victim's advocate who works with the judicial district and maybe also with the district attorney's office to just try to make sure, especially with the district attorney's office, let me be clear, the victim's advocate is there with the DA's office to make sure that the victim's interests are being represented, because the district attorney is representing essentially the community. It's a case of the people versus this alleged killer or the person who was the killer. And it's not your ex-boyfriend's mother who is the one who is prosecuting the case. Now, she is a victim here as well, because it was her son that was
Are you
murdered.
familiar with the victim's advocate that works with his mom?
We do not have one, as far as I know. And because of the size of the town, I honestly don't think the DA's office has one at all. I don't necessarily think it's not just in our case. I don't think they have one in general.
And I don't know how that works. They may have access to one from a larger area, for example, that they can bring in. I mean, you can certainly communicate with the DA to try to find out what your options are. Do you have any indication of why you think the district attorney is not pushing this case?
The reason that I think it is because my ex that was murdered, he had just had surgery. He had painkillers with him, and which I think is really what the driving factor was in his murder. As far as I know, they didn't find the medication, so they didn't really look too hard into that. I believe that we've switched DAs at least once
since then
within this last year.
Wow.
And so it's changed hands, and it's just a little town, and these they're not used to having stuff like this happen.
Yeah.
It's not a very common thing.
No, I'm from small town Colorado too, and something like that happens, that's a huge deal. And like she said, everyone in town knows about it. Very interesting. Well, all right, obviously, you need to talk to the DA. Talk about getting a victim's advocate. That's step one, right, Dave?
I think so. Making sure that you got somebody, or his mother does
Mom.
at least, who is helping to advocate on her behalf.
Yeah.
And, there's an elected DA, so that person, I don't know if you're dealing with a deputy district attorney is the one who's actually hands-on as the point prosecutor on this. And we don't need names or anything like that, but I mean, there may be somebody up the chain that you can communicate with in the office.
That's where it starts, I think.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
You're like, Ross, I know you don't have a degree, aside from associates from Pikes Peak Community College, but I want you to represent the biggest murder case in Colorado Springs history.
Boom, boom, boom.
Dun, dun.
Get a haircut.
Jimmy, I bought a car from a local dealership that was modified when I purchased it. At the same time, I bought the extended warranty. Now the transmission went out. Warranty won't cover the car because they say it's modified. Wouldn't have bought the car without the warranty, and now the dealership won't budge in fixing the car. It broke down in another state. That's like every road trip's worst nightmare right there.
I know.
I had to leave it and then fly home. I've lost time at work. Having to borrow a car from a friend now. And ready for the biggest insult? Still having to pay the monthly payment on the car that's broke and stuck in Kansas or somewhere. That's the only question I had is like, where'd you break down, man? I once broke down in Gallup, New Mexico, or like in between Gallup and, was it Yuma? In the middle of the desert. And spent like 3 days under a blue tarp at a KOA waiting for my old crappy truck to get fixed. It was the worst.
You couldn't catch through a 310 to Yuma.
Terrible, right? We were supposed to, and we were ready for this one. We were supposed to be going to Lake Havasu to have post-senior year party of our lives. Instead, we laid under a blue tarp and then got basically just manhandled by the mechanics because it was just like backwoods hillbilly. It's like the line in Vacation. How much owe you? How much you got?
How much you got?
How much
Ross,
you got?
Do you ever wonder how your life would have turned out if you'd actually been able to make it to Lake Havasu, if you hadn't broken down?
Sugar mama, I would have found my sugar mama. She'd have a houseboat. I'd be rolling around like lizard skin, laying on a houseboat.
That's right.
But
That's right.
It's all right. It's all right. KOA campground in Gallup, New Mexico. Not a bad way to spend 3 or 4 days. Okay, so as a lawyer, I say that he should be able to get his money for the warranty back. The extended warranty he purchased, they have to give him the money back for that. They don't have to follow through with the fixing of it, but they can't charge him for a warranty that is not usable on his vehicle. Lawyer,
it's not usable.
What I do? Did I come close to the correct answer?
I think it's great. I think I would hire you because what you're doing is you're coming up with solutions here.
Right.
Exactly, and you're making a good legal argument. This is why I wish we could get Jimmy on the phone because I want to know a little bit more about
what you want to know.
The
what
warranty,
would you need to know?
the modifications. So here are the issues here too. When you say it had modifications, would he modify it after he bought it and also bought the warranty? I don't think so.
No, he did. He said this vehicle was modified before he purchased it. So he purchased it as it was. They gave him the warranty on that vehicle that he purchased with, let's just say it's an exhaust. They dicked around with the exhaust to make it run a little hotter or whatever. You've seen some of those Subarus and stuff that are hopped up like that. So let's say something like that.
Well, I mean, yes, you could ask, he could try to get the money back for his warranty. That would be one remedy. I think the other would be to try to enforce the terms of the warranty.
I'm sure that's what he wants.
There's no exclusion in the warranty for the transmission. I mean, and did the modifications themselves have any bearing on what broke? That's
I can't imagine because you really can't modify your drivetrain. I mean, I guess you could, but that's pretty extensive and unneeded. I mean, Jeep owners do it to lower the gear ratios and stuff like that, but I can imagine for a car you're doing something like that on the transmission.
See, that's the thing. So it sounds like he's either getting really jerked around by this company that sold him the car, or he bought the world's worst warranty. Or we just don't have all the facts. And see, that's what's frustrating about this. But nothing's going to get resolved by him just not doing anything. Because this car dealership's obviously not going to honor the warranty nor give him his money back absent something forcing them to do that. And so he's going to need, I think, in a situation like this to, I recommend this, writing a letter, enclosing the terms of the warranty, explaining the situation, explaining the hardships, explaining what he's had to do now because of this, because these are all evidentiary pieces that are going to be really important later if he sues them for either enforcement of the warranty or for reimbursement, not just of the cost of the warranty itself, but all of the out-of-pocket expenses he's had due to their delay in honoring the warranty. And so there is a component to this too that goes beyond just the cost of the warranty itself. So these are legal arguments I would be making if I were representing him. I would be, you have to go through and look at the contract language, but we don't have that in front of us. So we're going to assume that it's a liberal contract that says warranty contract that says, you bought the car. We know the state of the car at the time that you bought it, and so we're warranting the car that you bought. And it could be that the warranty he's talking about was a warranty that came with the car, and maybe it was a manufacturer's extended warranty that was attached to the car at the time it was originally purchased.
And they're always limited drivetrains. If you never noticed the small print, it says, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, limited drivetrain, which means, we're going to do the transmission for 10 to 20,000 miles.
For 10 to 20,000
Everything
miles.
else, 100,000 miles.
Yeah. So and then you have to find out, is that a transferable warranty? Was it even allowed to be transferred, or was it void the minute he bought the car? And the dealership, held that back from him, that knowledge, whether they knew it or not. They're still kind of on the hook. I mean, who benefited from this warranty? Right.
It doesn't say whether it was a manufacturer extended warranty, but he says here, I did buy the extended warranty at the time of the purchase. When I bought this modified car, which maybe unbeknownst to him it was modified, he purchased that warranty at the time. Now, obviously, you're talking money. It's a money game here. What does it cost to get your thing fixed? A couple $3,000. What is it going to cost to get a lawyer and get this done? If he does it on his own, where's his first step, do you think, to get these guys into court?
Well, so depends on the value of the vehicle. I mean, you could file a lawsuit in small claims court, file a complaint without a lawyer.
And small claims is from what?
And by the way, you can do that with a lawyer too.
What's the high end of small claims court? What bounces out of small claims into a regular court?
It may be up to $15,000 now.
Oh, okay,
I need to check that because it has been a while since I've looked at cases in small claims court.
But you say you can say it's more than 10 grand.
Well, maybe.
Or less than 10 grand.
10 grand. It
10
used
grand
to be
or
less
less.
than 10 grand.
Wow, interesting. All right, I was thinking about 5 or 6 grand, but there you go.
Well, it used to be about 7,500, I think. But you know what? I'm having to go back into the deep recesses of my mind to figure out that amount. And they may have, they make changes and they may have changed it since then. So please don't. If anybody's listening to this dollar amount, don't hold me to it because I don't know exactly what the new limit is in small claims court. But the idea is it's a smaller amount, and this car may fall underneath that too.
Right.
And I'll bring up one other point too, which is, did he know it was modified when he bought it? Because if he didn't know that it was modified when he bought it, it has this issue, and the modification is what caused the transmission to go wonky on him. I mean, he could make a straight-faced argument that they need to, basically buy the car back from him and unwind the terms of the deal. He gets all of his money back. They get the car back. They're stuck now with a car that doesn't work, and then he can also make an argument that he should be reimbursed for any out-of-pocket expenses from the time that they said they weren't going to make good on the repairs to the time where he got his money back.
And the old saying, squeaky wheel gets the grease. Start making some stink. Post some complaints on their website. Give them some Google reviews. I don't encourage trolling, but you have a valid point here. You get your word out enough, they might go, hey, Jimmy, just shut up about the warranty thing. And
that's true. He can do that. I tend to say make your solid argument first to them. Give them an opportunity. Once you've explained everything, send it in a certified letter, because make yourself look like the good guy here. The more that you can do to just show that this dealership or whoever sold the car, the third-party warranty company, whoever is acting in bad faith and is really the bad actor in this situation, the stronger your case is going to be, and the more credibility you're going to have. If the first thing that you do is you just go straight to Google and start complaining about this, but you're really not doing anything to give them an opportunity to fix it, then...
Look at that. Dave takes the high road.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
You make me sound just so sexy, my lifestyle.
Oh, man. It is awesome.
Tell you what,
you got a good
real man of the world.
Man. Got a couple of kids. You're getting your new house finally dialed in, trying to redo a house during the pandemic. I'm sure that was a blast, huh, Dave?
Oh, it's been brutal. I've got a move-in date for next month, though. So
congratulations. Literally like 2 years this guy's been pounding out trying to get his house done. So you got a couple kids. You also got the Singles Daddy's Guide to the World, basically. Web series, which is really funny, man. You're a funny guy. Is that all someone else write it for you?
No, well, kind of. I mean, we have a production team that helps produce all of our spots. We've got the Single Dad's Guide to Life with David McDivitt, and then we have Family Style with the McDivitts. And these are, it's a YouTube series that we have, and it also goes on Facebook. And we've got a new episode coming out at the end of this week to coincide with the final home game of the Colorado Springs Switchbacks. And so it's got a couple of players in it. Jeff Caldwell, Haji Berry are in there, guest starring with me in Single Dad's Guide to Life.
I told you hobnob with stars. Haji Berry hanging out in your office?
Yeah, well, I'm hanging out in his office. You'll have to see the spot. Go to the game. I don't know if it'll be at the game or not, but if you don't already have here I am promoting the Switchbacks. I'm not being paid for this, but go to the game. Buy tickets if you're not already planning to go. These games are so much fun.
They're looking to clinch the playoffs as well. They've failed the last couple of attempts, so they need to win on Saturday to get this thing locked in. Otherwise, it could be an end of a tough season, man.
Yeah, go to the game. Go to YouTube or my Facebook page, David McDivitt, and watch these episodes. They're kind of fun.
Yeah, no, the whole family's in on it. Your sister kills it. Your mom's hilarious as well. Your dad looks uncomfortable. He's like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. Right? Does your dad, when you call him, hey, we do the thing? He's like, God damn it.
You got to see this. The new one is about, we're painting pictures, frankly. It's a family style art is what it's called. It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's on the McDivitt Law Firm Facebook page, it's on the McDivitt Law Firm YouTube page. It's a riot. And I tell you what, Mike's artistic skills they leave a lot to be desired.
Great lawyer, but he ain't no Picasso? Is that what you're saying?
No, we talk about Picasso. You've got to see it. Got to see it.
All right, cool. Single Dad's Guide to Life is Dave McDivitt, his little side hustle. Man, how do you do it? You're lawyering. You're redoing homes. You're hanging out at Walgreens parking lots.
Have you seen The Prestige?
The Prestige? No, I don't think so.
With Christian Bale?
Oh, yeah. The movie? Okay.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
All right. There's a peer into the life of your lawyer, Dave McDivitt. Okay, one more question from the Freak News, and I'm going to also take my lawyer hat and put it on for a moment.
Okay, good.
Story goes like this. Guy goes to a coffee shop, $13 for the coffee, gives a $3,000 tip. It was all over the media. It's been a thing since the pandemic, and we lost, food service, and these people who work very hard to get you good food and drink and stuff like that, people started dropping huge tips on some bills, which was awesome. But then the guy go home, calls his credit card company, contests the charge, cancels the $3,000 tip, and it's the restaurant that's on the line because they gave the girl her money and she spent it. So they're having to sue him. Once you write your name on that slip of paper with your tip of $3,000, that is legal. He owes the $3,000. Lawyered. Am I right?
Well, it's a good question.
I said this earlier. It's like something as simple as this, that just like A, B equals C kind of thing. There's still other problems. Wow.
Here's the thing. You have the right to contest a charge. I mean, he wrote that money, that $3,000 on there. There could be any number of reasons why somebody might have sloppy handwriting, they run it through, and then you realize what they've done, and you call the credit card company immediately and say, I didn't add the $3,000 tip. I am not saying that's what's going on with this situation. All I'm saying is just because you've signed your name on the credit card slip doesn't necessarily mean you were 100% on the hook. There are opportunities with your credit card company if there was truly a mistake, a misunderstanding in the charge. Now, it's kind of tricky when it's a tip situation because you're not getting a product with a described value for that money. I mean, the meal is one thing. The tip is this discretionary thing that you add on, and it's kind of amorphous. And so you could say, well, there was a misunderstanding. Somebody after the fact went in and wrote in several zeros. That's not my handwriting. So you've got all of these things that could be argued. What doesn't seem to be, you didn't bring this up, Mr. Wannabe Lawyer, which is that this guy sounds like maybe he was really just trying to impress the barista. by dropping a $3,000 tip, hoping that maybe she would say, hey, you know what, maybe here's my number, let's go out sometime. He walks away realizing she didn't bite. She doesn't seem interested in him. And he said, well, you know what, screw you. I want my money back. So I think that's really the issue here. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But
the $3,000 date money, baby.
Exactly. Well, this guy, I just don't know. I mean, it sounds like the restaurant or the coffee shop tried to, at least make sure that this was authentic, because I think the article even says that they were shocked by that and thought it may not be real, but they rang it through, and as long as the guy has that much money in available with credit and it didn't flag a fraud alert at the time, then the credit card company is probably going to just authorize it. And so for them to say, well, we were shocked that it went through, well, it probably would go through, assuming the guy had available credit, right. and it didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he had deep pockets if he's even willing to do that in the first place.
But again, he's contesting it, so we're making the assumption that he really intended to do it. He's going to say, hey, and the reason he's contesting is he's going to say, well, I didn't intend to do it. There was a mistake there. And so that is what's going to get litigated.
All right. Well, let's say, I don't know if this is the case, let's say there was a video of him talking about how he was so happy to give her $3,000. It's like, I just want to give back to the restaurant community, and this is the way I want to do it. Would that then give them a smoking gun?
Yeah, that's a pretty strong case for them.
I'm hoping he's getting shamed internetly speaking. So I would imagine it's probably more than $3,000 worth of headaches for this guy right now. So I would imagine he's going to kick up the cash and officially get that done. Maybe, I don't know.
And you do realize he can never go back to that coffee shop,
right?
Thank you for listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM, presented by McDivitt Law Firm.